So
93.3 WMMR.
Thank you, Kathy. The Great American Smoke Out is happening, and we are going to help some people break that habit. I love this song, by the way. This
it's a great song.
This is a Boston song that does not get enough time on the air.
Just light up a cigarette and enjoy it.
Smoking. Please welcome from quititnow.com our friend Dr. Rosenpenis is here with us this morning.
Oh, it's me, Dr. Rosenpenis.
Actually, his name is Dr. Rosenberg. We love him to death. Hi, Doc.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, man. We've been spending years and years and years together doing this
Yes,
thing.
we have, and it's been great.
It's been very successful,
Yes,
too.
Yes. And over the 42 years that I've been in practice, I've got 50,000 people who have stopped with me.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. We've actually seen it happen when you come in here and do it. And we'll have people who have been lifelong smokers, and through the process you use, they leave and don't smoke again, which is
unless they like vomit, then they will.
Well, explain that.
That's what you associate people
Yes.
to in smoking. And
Yes. But it's been very successful, and we didn't get a chance to do. Actually, the Great American Smokeout is in November.
Yeah.
So we didn't get a chance to do that
Yes.
with you because of the camp out.
Yeah.
So we're doing it now. We got
This
our
New
own
Year's-
smoke
New Year's
out, man.
resolutions.
Yeah. So here's the thing about smoking, and I was a long time smoker, and I quit smoking over 20 years ago, and I will never, ever, ever do it again. I'm so glad that I quit that horrible habit. And the interesting thing about smoking is, and there may be some that are out there, but for the most part, almost everybody who smokes doesn't really want to be a smoker. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, even though it's something you, quote unquote, enjoy, you hate the fact that you have to spend money on it. You hate the fact that you have to find time to go do this. You hate the fact that other people don't like it.
Yeah.
There's a number of reasons. And number one, it's very, 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 very unhealthy for you. So when you lose that, when that's gone for good, it's very liberating. It's very awesome.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, it changes your life. No question about it. You cannot live a healthy lifestyle if you smoke.
Yeah.
You cannot. Absolutely not.
Well, I had actually said this last week. I think we were talking about it. I said, because I started at a young age. I started in high school, and I think it robbed me of the best years of my young life.
You used to say something. You used to have this phrase, Casey, and I loved it. And
Yeah.
it was warning, smoking cures boredom.
Boredom, yeah.
Which is what's difficult is because when you find yourself with idle time and you're a smoker, you smoke.
That becomes a thing. Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
It's a time killer.
yeah, a lot of people say boredom is the big thing that they use cigarettes for. I mean, it's amazing. I started smoking actually when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
What?
Jesus.
Yeah.
You were probably really
Gosh.
cool.
Juvenile delinquent. But,
Wow.
it's amazing. My dad, may he rest in peace, he had the trifecta of lung cancer, COPD, and emphysema.
Oh, yeah.
And 3 packs of Lucky Strike a day.
Yeah.
And I used to steal them and go in the backyard and.
When did you
smoke
start
and-
getting with loose women? When was
that was like seven, maybe.
Listen, my uncle has COPD, and he won't quit smoking.
I mean,
I'm like,
it's-
man, why?
Listen,
You're being handed what can turn out to be a death sentence.
Yeah.
You
I-
gotta stop.
I had
this,
a
man.
woman come in my office carrying a big oxygen container.
Yeah.
She had one lung removed and she's still smoking.
Oh my God.
That's how addictive it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they always talk about how it rivals heroin addiction.
Well, nicotine is 10 times more addictive than heroin.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a crazy thing.
But once you wean yourself off of it, you find that you really didn't need it in the first place.
Listen,
and it's pretty amazing.
It takes 3 days to get rid of the nicotine in your body. That's all.
and then you find more time to enjoy your heroin.
And then
probably.
And then for your lung tissue to what's the word I'm looking
Regenerate.
for? Repair itself,
Yeah.
regenerate. It's a few months, but it will. Repair itself.
You can bring your lungs back to a point.
Yeah.
So there's no two ways about it, but you got to stop smoking. It has to be be
So, Dr. Rosenberg, just to clarify again, you do a very visceral association with smoking,
Yes.
and you attach it to the imagery and also the you create the olfactory sense of vomit. And so that association, people have walked out and they are, while they're in it, and we've had people do the sessions with you, and they're saying, is this really taking? and then it takes. They realize that it's actually been planted, and that's really the core of the whole process, right?
It is. It's aversion therapy. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's nice because I remember as a kid, I never had pizza, and my brother, who passed away, always referred to. I said, "What's pizza?" He said, "Vomit and bread." I never ate pizza until I was 28.
Wow.
So
Wow, you prepared differently.
I said, you know what? This has got to be. This has got to be a good
It's gotta
way.
be a good way to do it. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, before I forget, I got to say hello to somebody.
Yeah.
The youngest fan of yours. His name is Logan. He's 11 months old, and he listens to you every morning with his dad, Nick. They're members. Nick is a member of my lodge of Masons, and great people. And there's a bigger Logan out there who lives in Richboro who listens to you too. So
Awesome.
We love it.
hello to Logans.
Hello
the
to
Logans.
Logans. Cool name.
Here's a text came in. Says, I quit smoking 390 days ago, and as of right now, I haven't smoked 3,786 cigarettes in that time, and I've saved over $3,400. That's based on a pack-a-day habit.
It's astonishing.
The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. So 390 days ago, they quit, a little over a year ago, and they've saved $3,400.
By the way,
Well,
Dr. Rosenberg
yeah.
recorded a session for me that I use. It allows me to get sort of rested. It's sort of a meditation, and I use it. And you can do a lot of the stuff that you do for other things remotely, or you have all sorts of services that you can apply.
Yeah, we can get people to quit anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously with the if you are overweight and you feel you have any sort of stress related thing like that, you can tend to that as well.
Absolutely. In fact, I was featured in Glamour magazine. I'm glamorous.
Yeah.
And
always
the
do that.
Glamour editor actually interviewed me.
Yeah.
And they put it in as one of the best ways to quit smoking. So check the Glamour newsletter. It's out now online.
It's you hugging Gwyneth Paltrow from behind.
I can't imagine Dr. Rosenpenis in Glamour magazine.
Hey, look, I'm glamorous.
He's gorgeous.
So, in order to receive this positive suggestion, this association via hypnosis, do you need any special abilities, or can anybody be hypnotized, or?
That's a good question. Yes, everyone can be hypnotized. Oh, the criterion is if you want to do it, it works 100%.
Okay.
I have people come in and maybe they're 50-50. I can get them over to that level.
Yeah.
But if they really want to do it, no problem.
That's the thing that's exciting about me, the people that are coming here today, because they really want to quit, right? And it's like being hypnotized. You're not going to be hyptonized if you don't want to be hypnotized. But if you come in as a willing,
you can be,
but it's not nearly as likely, right?
Not as
Yeah.
effective.
For party tricks or whatever. But like the people that are here today, they really want to quit, and they're turning to you for help. But they've already started down the path of having some willpower to break this habit.
And they will be successful.
Yes.
All right, we
Absolutely.
love that. Positive
That's encouraging.
thinking.
Absolutely.
So if you're interested in a session or two, quititnow.com is the website, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And where are you located?
I'm in Elkins Park at 8080 Old York Road in Elkins Park. And the phone number is 215-782-8414. 215-782-8414.
Okay.
Excellent.
So we're going to send you into this area. We call it our event center. It's this nice little studio, and we will have you and the crew get started. And we have microphones in there, so we'll be monitoring. As Steve said, if someone farts, we'll hear it.
We'll hear it.
So I hope you went to the bathroom ahead.
Yes. Remember years ago you sent me into the room with this guy that looked like a serial killer.
Okay.
When we were doing clowns that day.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Fear of clowns.
It was
honestly, I was saying to myself, why did you bring this guy in?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And he turned out to be the nicest guy.
He was
in
the
world.
nicest guy.
Yeah.
Don't judge
After
a
I hypnotized him. He was mellow. Okay.
Yeah.
But did you remember what that guy looked like?
Yeah, he's a friend of the show. He comes out to
Oh
the
my God!
Family
He
Fox.
loves everybody now. I mean, he likes clowns now too.
He likes clowns now. I love it. All right, so we're going to send you over there, Doc, and get you started right now.
We're going to do it. Let's do it.
And then we'll talk to a couple of the participants afterwards, and we'll see how they feel. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to
me.
send you out here. We're going to continue on. We're going to continue on chatting while Dr. Rosenpenis makes his way into the WMMR Event Center. We'll check the audio in a second here, Case, which I think you have right there. So our listeners are there. I think we have 10 people, a variety of ages and sexes and just different people who all want to quit smoking.
Yeah.
So if they don't want to do my method, which is to drink heavily,
yes,
and make yourself not smoke. It's
and
a
yours
method.
was very effective.
It worked.
You have not backslid at all.
But if I could be hypnotized, I would absolutely do that. So we'll check in with him in a little while. Steve, you want to talk about the thing that we were talking off air about?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very, very personal thing that we are going to talk about now, but it might inspire you. I think this is going to be very inspirational, actually.
I think it is, too, because last Friday, my dad, Gene Morrison, he passed away. Okay, I got to stop.
I know,
myself.
it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
You haven't talked about this at all yet. So.
It was in Dallas, and, clearly loved my dad. I have two brothers, Gene and Tom. And it was one of those cases where my dad, who is, a larger-than-life character, always was, World War II veteran, served in Italy, Trieste, 82nd Airborne Division, proud of his military service, a multi-chapter life that spanned, again, 95 years. At a point around my dad's 93rd year, he wanted to chronicle in audio this journal he'd been keeping forever. My dad had the ability to retain information that was just unearthly. It was so my ability with Insignifica and stuff, saying stupid things quickly on the air, was matched by my dad saying relevant things that had historical import. So what he did is he got this little Sony recorder, kind of helped him through it. And, he was not a tech giant. I can tell you many hours of tech supporting him on the phone. But this one was very easy to use. And so in his quiet time over the course of 2 years, he recorded passages about his life. When my dad passed on Friday, I found out about a Saturday morning. I went home and started listening.
Okay.
I'd listened to it all, of course, and I'd brushed up the audio. But when I tell you that it gave me such solace and such comfort, and I thought to myself, it might be well worth the notion of doing something like this in your own life for your family. Because on the other side of the coin, my mother, by happenstance, happened to be talking one time when I was using a tiny little Grundig recorder in the background, and I have a couple of seconds of her voice, and I don't remember what she sounds like. My dad basically ported the essence of who he is into these recordings, observations about life. And so when my dad passed, and we'll play a couple of clips, I was able to hear, my dad say things about the journey, about things that I didn't know about my mother. He describes the time he met my mother. He said he was walking through the city, and she worked at the RKO Palace in Manhattan. And just on a whim, he walked in wondering if they had work. He saw this beautiful girl and asked if they had work. And my dad says, as she turned and walked away, he said, "That is very good." And so he thought this cute girl might be worth dating, and he did. And, my mom passed away when I was 21 of lung cancer. Mm-hmm. And, that was another next chapter of my dad's life. And you'll hear him mention Rosalie. That was my mother's name. We always knew her as Mom. He always called her Mom in the house. And then this woman who's just a godsend, Sheila, came into his life. But I want this to sort of be, an invitation to people who wonder how their legacy will carry on, or how important it is not to simply be, we have footage of this person that we love at a birthday party, or to just take some time and sit down and commit your thoughts to a recording. It doesn't even have to be video. I think in a way, almost the audio might have been more liberating because you don't feel like you're putting on a show. And my dad could just kind of sit and wax nostalgic. And, my dad had his moments of being very, not gruff, but he was a guy that I would not perceive having some of these perceptions. And something that he mentioned when he was a little kid, he was born in 1928, and, he was Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he talks about being a little kid, and something that stuck with him over all those decades was how bad he felt during Valentine's Day when the school would collect, each class, everyone would have their Valentine's cards, and he remembers the kids that didn't get Valentine's cards. And over the course, here's a guy who was in World War II, and saw a lot throughout his life, and that little thing stuck with him. And it gave me a better understanding of my dad. So if you want to hear a little bit of the audio, I grabbed a couple of clips. There's one that is Wild Ride. It's my dad talking about an overall assessment of his life.
All right, here we go.
Looking back on the whole thing, it's been a wild ride. I've been incredibly lucky. And there was a lot of hard work that went into it, but everything, you walk down one street, there's one opportunity, and, sometimes things go your way. All through it, though, the 3 sons, the boys, especially in East Northport, when we finally got out there that we had a decent life, I trusted them completely from an early age. Steve, Tom, Gene particularly, worked very hard while attending State University in New York. And to his credit, he went all the way through, got a degree, first one in the family, and went on to have a very successful career with the Secret Service. Steve, what can you say about Steve? He was 1959, he was laughing in the crib and never stopped laughing. And he's probably just knew right from the beginning, I'm guessing, that he was going to be something. He was going to be something in showbiz. It was guaranteed. I mean, I loved all his humor. I still do. I'm his biggest humor fan. I mean, we have that same weird, strange sense of humor. And Tom had his difficulties, but again, he turned his life completely around. California, when he was out there doing the music stuff, but he abruptly just stopped, turned it around. With some encouragement from me, I think. Got into law enforcement. I was able to help him then, and again, he did it. Everybody did it. I'm immensely proud of all of them and their subsequent lives. And, there's no failures there.
Your brother was involved in the music industry?
Yeah, he was actually a guitarist out there with... he had his own band, and he was actually, he was
making a run at it.
He's making a run. Like the Bangles auditioned him for a little bit, and so he was getting some traction. And then the riots, after the Rodney King episode occurred out in L.A., and he was afraid. He said, I need to be able to protect my home because that whole maelstrom was happening around his house. Mm-hmm. And he went down, to the range, to at least get some sort of, education on firearms and do everything properly. He met a lot of police officers that he bonded with, and that shifted the course of his life. You had this, Axl Rose looking guy who became a police officer.
And what did your dad think about him trying to get into the music?
He supported it.
Did he?
He did. My dad was incredibly supportive. His thing was always do what you. Preston, you got the same advice from your dad. Find what you love and do it. It will come if you put the work into it. Again, all my brothers, we had the opportunity very recently to tell him how much we loved him.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I got to tell him that I was honored that he was my father.
Sure.
So, but on this level, excuse me, is that the importance of that, about the things we talk about all the time on the show, about take a moment, take a moment. We've all been touched recently. The past couple of weeks have had some very heavy stuff happening for a lot of us. Mm-hmm. And that thing rings true here. And so something like this, if you can do it, think about the people that you love. If whatever happens, we don't know. But I was able to, I'll always be able to get the spirit of my dad through about 6.5 hours of audio.
Yeah. It's amazing he did that.
Kathy, I know that you were looking at it.
I did.
Yeah.
I gave it to I gave the same one that you gave your dad. I gave to my
Yeah.
dad, but he hasn't done it.
Yeah,
And I encourage
It may
him.
not be for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can't force it, and I
Yeah.
completely understand that.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to. My dad was always of a mind because he was in his 90s. Like he purchased a car, Preston. It was like, and he goes, "Well, I'm going for something a little like crazy because it's the last car I'll ever purchase." And I mean, he could frame things like that, you know.
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago. I forgot how long ago my mom's mom passed away. My grandmother, we did the same thing. We bought her an MP3 player, recorder, and we said, hey, we would love for our kids to hear stories about your time growing up. And she didn't want to do it.
You know, I
Wasn't her
think
thing.
I think somebody like Steve's dad, he was able to do it, sit down and talk. I think somebody like my dad, or and maybe depending on what your parents are like, he would need me to sit with him and ask questions. Like he would
Yeah.
do it if I prompted the stories
Okay.
about Janis Joplin.
so-
Yes.
Seriously.
Please.
To do that. I mean, because honestly, my dad had the journal that he was keying off of. So he was using that as a step-off point. But if you need to be interviewed, again, to let Jace know the essence of what, what
Yeah.
happened. I mean, there are stories. I mean, this has been my father pretty much all my life. So there were stories I'd never heard.
Yeah.
Steve, a few years ago, I was just thinking fond thoughts about my mom, who is still with us, and I just tweeted out, call your mom. It's
Yeah.
just sort of as a general clarion call to people who follow me on Twitter. And somebody replied to me saying, I wish that I could, but I lost her a few years ago. And,
Yeah.
it just didn't occur to me, of course, that when I'm sending this out there, that some people aren't able to communicate with their parents.
Sure.
And you've lamented several times over the years about not being able to remember your mom's voice or hear it again. So to have this gift from your father really
Yeah.
is so heartwarming and incredible. Can you say the name of the equipment again that you used?
It's just a Sony. I'll tweet it out or give it. And Marissa can put it up. But it's just a small, little, easy to operate recorder. Big red record button.
There you go.
And it's a and it can take a whole bunch of files. And so he gave them all to me. And the audio was actually pretty good to go. I cleaned it up and I was able to do it. So
Let's play a couple more clips because we got to check in with Dr.
Right.
Rosenpeace, and I don't want to do it in the middle of this.
my dad would be honored to be to take a pause for Dr. Rosenpenis.
So we're gonna play another clip here.
Oh, it's me, Dr. Rosenpenis.
Oh, okay.
No, this is he saying that he had no complaints.
If you want, go to the second one. It's getting mom out of
Case, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. All right, here we go.
As for Rosalie,
my mother.
I hope that, during those, especially those years from 1961 to 1982, with hiatus in California for a while, but I held on to that house by the fingernails. I mean, it could have, I laid awake nights, just sweating the damn thing out. I was behind. How am I going to take care of this? The bills piling up, it was just nuts. I mean, but somehow it worked out and was able to hold on to the house. And that was the biggest thing. I was able to take her out of that situation in Manhattan, that tenement, and got her out there. And that was the best thing for her. And she never complained about anything, really.
No, that's great.
I mean, so again, and you guys are parents. I never knew that as a kid. I never knew how close. I never knew how close. There was always something under the tree for Christmas. Never knew that my dad was sweating bullets.
Yeah, that's part of being a parent. If you do it right,
Yeah.
is shielding your kids from that and letting them be kids.
Yeah.
and not have to worry about those things.
Yeah, making sure they're not worrying.
Yeah,
It's wild to hear it. It puts it all into perspective. I learned some things about my mother and what she had to do as a little girl. Her father, my grandfather, I never met, was a bit of an alcoholic, and he'd blow a lot of his paycheck. This is that time, on drinking, and so he would come home and she was sort of the apple of his eye, and he'd pass out on the couch, and my mother's job was to go in and take the remaining money out of his pocket
save
to
it.
give to the mother.
Wow.
These little things that I never knew. But then the final one is again, my dad is sort of wrapped to everything. And again, because I heard this, and if you are thinking about doing this, remember what I'm telling you here. The three brothers still alive, obviously, and Sheila, who is the wonderful woman who occupied many years of his life and is like a second mother to us. The comfort we are getting from this already speaks volumes. So if you want to consider that in whatever way you can do it, and as you rightly observed, Preston, don't force somebody to do it.
Right.
But it can make a massive difference. So, and this is the final outro right now.
Here we go.
Gosh, it's all. What else can you say? I mean, it's been a great ride. If you're lucky enough to last long enough, it's great. I can't complain. Can't complain about anything. It's been extremely lucky, and then to meet Sheila afterwards and start a whole new life here in Dallas. And, we've been together actually longer than Rosalie and I. So in every sense, it's worked out. There were two incredible women that shaped my life.
It actually sounds, though, Steve, as if he's being interviewed and not doing this by himself. It's as if somebody's there asking him questions.
That's my dad's, I mean, leave it to him. He had specific. My brother Gene is processing all of this right now, and and we're all working together, and Tom as well. But he left out specific instructions, and again, to that, have something available for people in your life so that you don't have to hand wring and wonder what the person would have wanted.
Right.
It's nothing anybody wants to face. It was easy for my dad in his 90s to do that, but it is important.
With all these stories that he told in these hours of audio that he has in there, did he ever touch on the fact or the story, the moment when you walked in on your mom giving him a Hummer?
Yeah. You know what? He'd bring that up. It's pretty funny. I said, Dad, lock the screen door.
Yeah.
When you're getting a Hummer, lock the screen door.
Oh my God.
And my mom, the look on my mom's face. And then it was my dad's mother that I saw topless down in Flagler Beach.
Right.
And that traumatized me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a whole, thing.
They call that from the movie Inside Out. Those are called core memories.
Core memories. Yeah.
Core memories.
Some are more pleasant than others. Steve, in any of these recordings, or just really in general, did your dad ever pass along any long-lasting advice, stuff that stuck with you over the years?
It's stuff that he always dispensed. It was, again, do what you love, really do that. The old classic, you'll never work a day in your life. He's also said many times, they can tell you they love you all they want, but the love is in the paycheck. My dad was a very straight up guy. He was forged, and he's very proud of his service during World War II. One of the great last memories I have of my dad was going into a restaurant. My dad's mobility, again, he's recording this when he's 92, 93. You can hear his clarity. It's just unbelievable. We went into a restaurant, and he has a World War II veteran's hat on. And I got to stop myself now. But I was like, this is my dad. Yeah.
So, very proud.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Quickly, before we move on, I'm going to go to Maddie because he's got a suggestion here. Hi, Maddie. You're on the air. Good morning, bud.
Good morning to see you, bitches.
Good morning, bitch. What's up?
Hey, my name's Laddie, by the way. No big deal. But what you guys were talking about, my wife actually started a business a while back. She's looking to get back into it, and that's exactly what she did. She would travel to, clients' homes with elderly parents, family members, and actually record their life story, whatever. She would interview them. She's a very articulate person and inquisitive. She loves asking people questions. She's a great interviewer, and she documents everything. She records everything on a CD and also transcribes it to paper. So you have a folder, a binder of memories of your loved ones.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, for people who don't have don't know where to start, that's a great idea.
Well, how do they contact you guys?
Well, is it possible I could leave her email address? I don't want her phone blowing up. It's her personal cell phone, but I can leave an email address.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd be happy to get back to you. Should I leave it here, or should I hang on and wait?
No, just go ahead and mention it right now.
All right. Her name is, the email is therealgih@gmail.com.
TheRealGIH@gmail.com. Okay.
GIH stands for Giant Irish Head. That's his funny thing.
The real giant Irish head.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That's one of the best nicknames I've ever heard.
The real giant Irish
All
head.
right. Hey, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. That's a cool little service right there for those who may want somebody to interview their relative.
It's funny because I probably just here now talking about it, I've gotten more emotional than I have been, only because, again, having that there, being able to smile, being able to listen to stories like the Mom Hummer thing or whatever, it does provide solace. It does make you more inclined to celebrate rather than, just cave in on yourself.
Quote,
because,
unquote,
and my
mourn.
dad, 95 years, and as
That's a hell of a
I
life.
said, he passed quietly in his sleep in his own bed at home, and there was not a lot of pain or anything. So I use the phrase "stuck the landing." Well done, Dad.
A very lucky person
Yeah.
who has their end come like that. So, well, thanks for sharing that with us.
Oh, my
It's really
pleasure.
cool. All right, well, listen, we do need to check in with our crew who is in an area of the studios we call the Event Center. Dr. Rosenpenis is the man who is right now telling our group the things they need to know to quit smoking for good. What, Dr. Rosenpenis?
Yes, like that's his name.
It's just given
Unfortunately,
now.
it's not.
He
but
rolls with it,
I
and it's so
know.
hilarious.
His name is Dr. Rosenberg. Casey, can you turn the audio out? Let's see if we can hear him.
And I feel nauseated deep in the
All the way
pit
up.
of my stomach. It is so gross. But yet I'm addicted to this nicotine that I am actually pulling out some tissues that I have with me. I bend down and I pick them up. I pick them up and they are dripping of that slime, that awful, disgusting fluid, that vomit. It's so gross. I can't believe it that I'm taking them in with me. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm so glad that no one is around, because if anybody caught me doing this, I would be highly embarrassed.
He's associating vomit and all things puke with cigarettes.
And so
embarrassment and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and he's had them get into a sort of a state. He's led them through, the classic sort of quasi-hypnosis thing, and then so they're sort of just listening to him pontificate about vomit.
He'll work on, breathing and relaxing and open suggestion, and then he starts telling these stories that are supposed to make an impact in your mind and be triggered at the moment when you want to indulge.
And you pointed out, Nick, the fact that everyone in there really wants this will assist in them hopefully getting success.
Yeah, we're rooting for him.
Turn up just a little bit more one more time.
I take the clean cigarettes, I put them into a plastic bag.
I gotta bring the audio
in
up
order
on
to
that.
keep them fresh and clean. The air is just inundated with that odor of vomit. It's gross. I decide that I'm going to take one of the clean cigarettes, go out and get a breath of fresh air and clear out my sinuses.
And when I
go
smoke,
out,
there's a piece of poop on the
I
filter.
take it with me. I light it up. I take a real nice, long, deep drag on that cigarette. And as I do, it is just as if I am sucking up vomit through a straw. That vomit is trickling into my mouth.
Gnarly.
I haven't even started with the diarrhea.
He'll get there.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what Dr. Rosenberg is doing with our group. We have 10 people that are sitting there taking in the suggestion. Hopefully they feel new and ready to go and done with cigarettes for good. And you can reach out to him through quititnow.com. That is his website, quititnow.com. And it's not just for smoking. There's all kinds of things that he can help you with.
Yeah.
And not just quitting things, but also
Positive
things.
That's the one I use. It's just a little meditation.
Yep, eating well and whatever it may be that you're looking for. All right, we're going to let him continue his magic. We'll check back in a few. We'll go ahead and take